On September 1st, 2025, global headlines lit up with melodramatic stories. Von der Leyen's plane nearly forced down by Russian GPS jamming. Quote, pilots using paper maps to land in Bulgaria. A Cold War-style thriller playing out in real time, we were told. But here's the thing, the actual flight data doesn't back this up. In fact, if you look at what really happened, you'll see how a 9-minute delay got spun into a major geopolitical scare. Let's break it down. The BBC, the Financial Times, and other major legacy media outlets all ran the same story. According to unnamed European and Bulgarian officials, the plane carrying European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen lost GPS navigation due to Russian interference. The Financial Times even claimed the pilot circled for an hour and then landed using nothing but analog paper maps. Von der Leyen's team immediately connected the incident to Russia's so-called hybrid warfare. The message was clear: Russia was once again undermining European safety and security. It sounds dramatic, almost cinematic, but was it actually true? Enter Flight Radar 24, the world's leading flight tracking platform. Unlike political statements or anonymous sources, Flight Radar 24 relies on real-time aircraft transponder data. It's independent, transparent, and trusted by millions. And here's what they found. The flight from Brussels to Plovdiv, Bulgaria was scheduled for 1 hour and 48 minutes. It actually took 1 hour and 57 minutes. That's a difference of 9 minutes. And the kicker? The aircraft's transponder reported good GPS signal quality from takeoff to the landing. No long hour circling, no emergency reliance on paper maps, and no evidence of a total GPS collapse. So, while officials and media painted a picture of chaos in the skies, the data tells us that it was just a slightly longer than usual flight. Irony aside, the real question is, if she knew her plane was jammed and compromised by Russia, why didn't she switch planes after landing? Instead, she chose to return to Brussels on the very same aircraft. So how do we explain this gap between the story and the data? There are three likely reasons. First, the technical sensitivity versus political spin. Even momentary blips in GPS reception can be labeled as jamming, but those disruptions often have little to no impact on the actual flight paths. Second, exaggeration for an effect. Von der Leyen was touring Eastern European Union states discussing security and Russia. A dramatic mid-air Russian interference story fit perfectly into the narrative. And third, the confirmation bias. With GPS interference already a hot topic, every glitch risks being blamed on the Russia, even without solid proof. This isn't the first time we've heard about Russian GPS jamming. Since 2022, reports of interference have surged, particularly around the Baltic Sea, near Kaliningrad, and along Europe's eastern flank. Some incidents are real and documented. For example, in March 2024, a British RAF plane carrying the then Defense Secretary Grant Shapps reported spoofed signals near Kaliningrad. But let's keep perspective. The UK's Civil Aviation Authority has said clearly, aircraft do not rely solely on GPS. They have complex navigation systems with multiple redundancies. Yes, jamming is concerning, but it's nowhere near the existential risk that politicians and headlines sometimes make it out to be. The von der Leyen case shows us the gap between data and narrative. On one side, European leaders gain political leverage by portraying Russia as an ever-present threat, and on the other, independent tracking evidence shows a routine flight with no signs of emergency conditions. Of course, GPS jamming is real, but framing every irregularity as Kremlin sabotage risks turning legitimate security concerns into propaganda tools. And that's dangerous because when everything is labeled as war, credibility starts to erode. Let's not forget the context. Von der Leyen wasn't flying to Bulgaria on a holiday. She was there to tour defense facilities and praise Bulgaria's booming arms industry. In fact, she highlighted how Russia supplied 1/3 of Ukraine's weapons in the early months of the war. So when the story broke that her plane was jammed by Russia on the way to an arms factory visit, it was politically useful. Almost too useful. Experts in escalation security experts like Keir Giles at Chatham House warned that interference has become a constant feature of flying near Russia. Meanwhile, Edward Lucas of the Center for European Policy Analysis argues that NATO hasn't responded strongly enough. But notice what have both in common. They accept the worst case scenario first, even when the evidence is inconclusive. Flight Radar 24, on the other hand, provided hard numbers, and those numbers don't match the panic. So here's the takeaway. Ursula von der Leyen's plane landed safely. It was only 9 minutes late. GPS appeared to be working fine the whole way, yet media reports turned that into an hour-long emergency. Paper maps and Russian sabotage. Flight Radar 24's data-driven analysis reminds us of something crucial. In times of geopolitical tension, not every blip in the skies is a Kremlin plot. Sometimes a 9-minute delay is just a 9-minute delay. Leaving you all with a question to ponder. Is she, Ursula von der Leyen, by playing the victim card, trying to revive her below-the-water table popularity? Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown useful, hit like, share and subscribe.